Well, hello and welcome to our first webinar for our summer series to help you crush the second half of 2023. Our first webinar today is on optimizing your website for assisted living facilities and senior living communities. All right, let's jump in and get going. Here we go. So this first slide that we're going to look at today, this is what we call the digital dominance method. And today we're going to mainly focus on the website, but what you're seeing here is what we believe is if you could do all these things, then you would really have your head and your marketing wrapped around maximum lead flow for your senior living business. And so as you look at this wheel, that very first one on the left, the number one, where it talks about SEO, that's the main thing we're going to talk about today, is how to sort of optimize your website, get the fundamentals right, to really set yourself up to, again, maximize lead flow and get yourself in front of a lot of people the way you should. Have it set up to where you can convert those into new clients or new guests for your home. But as you can see here, this wheel is really everything that you could do, right? You got your website, you got pay-per-click, and then retargeting, where anybody that visits your website, or social media campaigns, you could have the ability to retarget them. Kind of like how if you go look for a pair of shoes, the next thing you know, you see shoes all over the place because they're kind of tracking you and retargeting you. And then your paid online directories, and then having a sort of a repeat referral kind of program in place. Pay per move in, where you're paying the big directory guys, if they send you a lead that turns into new business. And then your social media marketing, which we'll get into that too during this series. But this really is kind of like everything that you could do. But today we're going to really focus in on your website. And so let's go into just a little bit of quick housekeeping. So, do yourself a favor and try and minimize any distractions. I know it's super easy for me to get distracted. So I like to turn things off if I'm going to be able to do some focused work. And then, if you do have questions, please raise your hand or let me know in the chat that you have a question. And I can turn on your audio and we can have a quick discussion. Okay. And then make yourself a quick list. You're probably going to hear some things today that you're going to want to do. Some of the things that you're going to hear, you already have in place. And that is, great job. If you've got some of these things in place already, then again, good on you. But there's going to be some things in here today that you're going to hear that you're like, I need to put that on my list. So make yourself a list, turn off any distractions, and then be sure and raise your hand or let me know in the chat if you have a question, because I'd love to hear any questions that you have or any ideas or anything I can clear up for you. So who am I and why should you even listen to me? My name is Mitch Alverson, and I did write this book, the book on digital marketing for assisted living facilities. I think most of the folks here locally probably have this book because I've given it away at some of our local association meetings. But if you don't have the book, just let me know in the chat that you want the book and I'll get it to you. You can also get the ebook, the digital version of it. I'm an active member of Torch. Our agency is active in Torch and Tala here in Texas. And I spoke last year at the Torch conference. I'll speak again this year in September. I'm also a StoryBrand certified guide, if you're familiar with Don Miller and StoryBrand. And a few years ago, I got an MBA from the University of Texas at Arlington. So I'm passionate about business. I'm passionate about small business and helping, especially residential care homes, compete with the big guys. You know, it's not the same product, right? But when it comes to your local marketing, you're absolutely competing with the big guys and their big budgets. And so, you know, I want to help you win. And so a lot of the things that I'm going to tell you are things that will really help you do that. So I'm happy that you guys are here today. And yeah, let's jump in. Okay, so this is the first of a series of webinars that we're going to do. This first one is, you know, optimizing your website. Next week, we're going to dig into local SEO. Some of what we're going to talk about today has to do with that, but next week we'll really dig into things like your Google Business Profile and location pages on your website. And so you won't want to miss that, or at least you'll want to get the replay of next week, because we're really going to dig into local SEO. And again, with local SEO, that is how kind of a big equalizer, how you can compete with people with multi-million-dollar budgets. Because when it comes to the local map pack, you can rank. And I'll show you a lot of ways to do that next week. And then on the 16th, we're going to talk about how we can use AI to boost your marketing and save you a lot of time. AI is a big buzzword right now, ChatGPT. And on that webinar, we'll actually get in and use ChatGPT, and I'll show you how to use that to get ways, you know, to get copy that you can use to really boost your social media presence and save you a ton of time. So we'll look at that on the 16th. Then on the 30th, we're going to talk about email marketing for assisted living. So there's a lot of things to think about with email marketing. First of all, the families that might come, the prospective families that may come to your website and give you their email address. But also, you should think about your partner network, the people that have the ability to refer business to you, right? And how are you communicating with them? How often are you communicating with them through email marketing? So we'll talk about that on the 30th. And then we'll wrap it all up with how to automate sales, whether you have 3 beds or 300 beds. There are definitely some ways that you should automate sales. If I know anything about residential care homes, smaller facilities, the owner operator is busy wearing many hats. And so the more that you can automate when it comes to sales, the better. So not only does it help you with that, but automation can help you follow up with leads quickly. So speed to lead is a big deal. And so that it applies across all industries. So we'll talk about automating sales on the 6th. Okay, so let's jump into our topic today with the website. Let's just think about what problem are we dealing with here? Well, if you think about it, your competition in assisted living, residential care homes is growing. It's growing every day. People are coming in, investors are coming in and starting residential care homes. And so that means that you need to be on top of these things in order to stay up with the competition, right? The other thing is you're competing with, I alluded to it earlier, but you're competing with some really big players with full-time marketing people and, you know, budgets that you don't have. So getting this stuff right, your website optimized is paramount, right? And then the other just glaring thing, right, is if you've got empty beds, then that means there's a revenue loss. And so if you're licensed for 12 beds and you've only got 6, then you can look at the opportunity cost of not having those beds full. So there's that, right? You could just do the quick math and say, geez, if I could step up my marketing in the second half of 2023 and fill the house up, how much does that mean to me? And it's a big number, right? And then if you're looking at growth, if you're looking at adding second, third, fourth home, you got to focus on getting this one full. So all those things to say. And then on top of that, right, every person that looks for senior living, 7 out of 10 start on the internet. So they go to their phone or they go to the computer and they put in some version of assisted living near me. 7 out of 10. And so you got to have this right, because people are looking for what you have, and the question is will they find you guys, right? Okay. All right. So the good news in this is that, believe it or not, it's not that difficult to get this right. And so that's that's what I want to talk about today. And at the end, I will show you guys some practical ways you can actually get this done. So we'll get into that too. Okay, so what you're looking at here are what I call the 12 critical elements to getting this right. Okay, and we'll go through these. We're going to talk about several of these in the webinar, but I wanted to give you this list. But first of all, you really do need to speak to the avatar, to the person that's looking for what you've got. We want to be real, use real photos of your team, you, the home. And ideally, you want to be able to use multimedia video on the website so that people can see, what's going on. What's it really feel like to be inside the home? Those kind of things. On the website, if you can, you would want to leverage any social proof that you have. Those would be your reviews on Google or reviews from other places across the internet. The basics, we're going to talk about the basics today of just making sure you've got the simple stuff in place so that people know how to get a hold of you. And then having a very clear call to action. So we'll talk about that as well. 7, use specials, coupons, and offers, or special offers and coupons. So this is not, you don't really want to do that if you don't have to, right? But if you think about it, what's it cost you to have someone move in or a lead that came from a placement agency or a place for mom, those things cost you quite a bit of money. So if you could come up with your own sort of special coupon, whatever, to help people make that decision, that's an option, right, that you should think about. And then, of course, mobile optimization, huge deal. I saw some new data just a few weeks ago that about 60% now of folks that are coming to your website are coming on their phone. And so I know just from doing my research for reaching out to people in the industry, there's quite a few websites that were made, 10 years ago or more, and they're not mobile optimized. So if you're in that boat, you really need to work on this. And the only answer really is to make a new website. So, but if you've got one that old. So the last one down there is, or the last few, you want to be able to give visitors the option to book their own tour. People are looking more and more for options, right? So if you can do that, then that's amazing. I'll show you a way to do that. The speed of your website, it really does matter. More than ever, people are not patient. And so if if your website takes more than a few seconds to load, they're going to keep going. You're going to go to the next thing, right? We're in a TikTok kind of world, and everything on TikTok is super, super fast. And so everything's got to be loading quickly. And then the last one down there is you should be giving them the ability, or you want the ability to use SMS, phone, and marketing automation. And so we're going to talk through a lot of those things today. So first of all, let's talk about this first one, about really the customer avatar and getting your messaging right. So if you think about this, we need to think through who is our customer avatar. And you don't have to do a ton of work on this, because the big people have already told us. They've spent the money to understand, right? A Place for Mom is, they would not have named their company that, nor would they be as successful as they are if they hadn't got this right. So they know that the people that are your avatar is an adult son or daughter, who's looking to help their parents. So many, many times, the majority of the time, that's what your avatar is. And then you go a little deeper, right? Once we know that, that's great. But who do they want to become? Who does son or daughter want to become on the other side of this whole journey of looking for assisted living? And more than anything, right? They love their mom or dad. They want to be a good son or a daughter. And so we have to know that, right? And go into this thing with some real empathetic type language around in our messaging. Okay. So going even deeper, what is it that the son or daughter wants? Well, they want a place for mom or dad that feels like home, that is safe, that is close. You could just keep going down the line. And it's actually worth it too, to do this list, right? To make this list. If you haven't sat down and thought through this, it's a good exercise to do, because this can speak into what we put, the language that we put on our website, or it can help us think like, well, are we speaking to the benefits that we actually provide on the website? And if you're not, then you really should think about like, okay, well, we need to update the copy on the website, right? So if we think about what it is that they want, a safe place for mom or dad, what is it that's keeping them from getting that? And so what we're really getting at here is what problem can you solve for them? And that is, there's no one big problem, but what you are providing is, quality senior care, right? Many times what's keeping them from getting that is they don't have the knowledge. If folks who are just entering this journey, they don't know much about assisted living. They're really coming in raw. And again, you have to think about how they're coming in from this perspective of, sometimes there's a lot of guilt involved with this decision. And so it really should help us understand and craft the messaging on our website, and understand how they really feel, right? Frustrated, fearful, confused, guilty. So that can really help us think about how we're going to, what language we're going to put on our website. So it does make us, really lean into empathy and authority. So we have to lead with empathy in all these conversations and in what we're putting on our website. I have a client down in Houston, Buck Buckholtz, who is just amazing at this. And if you are able to ever talk with Buck at an industry event, he's just the best at, he's not even really trying to sell, but he's such a sweet spirit that you can just feel that he really, really does care and understand that this is probably one of the hardest things these people are having to deal with, you know, this decision of choosing assisted living. And so we want to lead with empathy in the language that we're using. The other thing we want to do, though, is show authority, because that helps families feel more comfortable in actually choosing us. And so, what is it that makes you special? Many times in the residential care home setting, the owner operator sometimes is from the medical field, right? So, if you're an MD or a registered nurse, or uh, you know, you should say that. You should let people know that you are a medical professional. And if you're not, it's okay, right? There's other ways to show authority, but we definitely want to speak with authority, show credibility on the homepage through our bio, the photo of us. And you can put that on a section down the homepage and also on your about page. So there's two places. We call it the guide section. There's a guide section um, on the homepage where you can talk again about your bio and your image, right? But then also on the about page where you can go into greater detail about your experience, all those things. So you're also going to want to showcase um, reviews and any certifications you may have. Those are going to be great for you to put on the website. So if you're a member of the Better Business Bureau and they've got a badge, let's put that on there. You just want to be able to carry as much credibility and show that on the website as you can in your guide section and things like that. Okay. All right. The other thing in your messaging that a lot of people miss is a plan. Okay. We as humans, we really do love and want an easy, like, how do we get from this side of the river to that side of the river safely, right? And if you think about all the great stories and movies, usually there's some moment, right, in the story where some main character will say, "Okay, guys, here's the plan," and you know, then we move into, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Now we should do the same thing in and on our websites. So, what's your plan? I'll show you real quickly. This is Mercy House's website. And you can see they've got a very clear plan. So first, schedule a tour. 2, reserve a room. And 3, watch your parent thrive again. Now, this is, we all know, right, that this is not the process of moving into your facility is not 3 steps. It's probably 33 or 333. But what we're trying to do is communicate that this is actually, we can do this. You can do this. You're going to be okay. And you can see in the third step, we're speaking with, language that is on the other side of moving in, and parent is doing, mom or dad is doing okay. Mom or dad is thriving. And so that's what your plan can and should look like. Something like this. Very, very simple. Hey, let's book a tour. Let's get you in, and then let's get excited about what's next. And so you need a plan. If you don't have a good, clear plan on your website, you really need one. All right. We talked about it in our 12 critical steps, but you absolutely, this should be what you aspire to if you're not there yet, but you want to use real photos. Okay. So do the best you can to get a photographer out, take photos of your home, your team. Like this is, again, we're using Mercy House homepage. This is Preston, one of their caregivers, with with one of the guests, right? Now, if in the short term you need to use stock photos, that's fine. But again, this should be on your action list to hire a local photographer to come out, take photos, candid photos like this, headshots of your team, shots of the facility. And then if you also put this on the list, hire someone that can do a drone also. So they get drone footage of the home uh, and can make a video out of that that you can use on social media, the website, where people can really see and feel kind of what's up there, right? Okay. This is on the team page for Mercy House. You can actually see these are the folks that are going to help, care for mom and dad. And so if you don't have this, you should get it. You should get it. And I know I've heard from others like it's difficult sometimes to do this because we have caregivers that might come and go, but you can at least go with like your maybe sort of the senior team or the folks that have been with you that you don't think are going to go anywhere. At least let's get them on the website. Okay, so let's talk about the basics. I said we would talk about the basics, and this is what they are. Okay, so and I'll show you some of these after we kind of talk through it. But the biggest one that I see on residential care homes, that is sort of the biggest pet peeve, is that there's no phone number. Well, there is the phone number, but you either have to go to the contact us page or you really have to find it. And most of the folks that are coming to your website are not going to work that hard to find it. So if you want the phone to ring, you have to put it, at the top, either at the top left or top right, so where they can find it. And then it needs to be able to click to call. Again, thinking of mobile optimization. If I'm on my mobile phone, I can just tap the phone number, and it should initiate a call. So phone number is the biggest one. And on many smaller websites that a lot of people have that issue. The second one is a good, clear call to action. And what is it that you want the people visiting to do? Many times it is call us, but you could also use schedule a tour, book a tour. That could be your main call to action. And when I say main call to action, what I want that to be on the website is to kind of follow them along. So they're going to see the book a call in the top right hand corner. But as they scroll down the website, they're going to see buttons that say book a call, right? Because if that's what you want them to do, if you want them to call, then it should say call now, right? And that button would be a click to call kind of button. But you definitely want a good, clear call to action. Again, I see a lot of websites that don't have that. And somebody's going to have to either click contact us to go to the page and then figure out how to contact you. The third one is some kind of web form. Now, in my research, I look at a lot of websites. One of the things that I see on the big guys with the big budgets is they will have a web form on the home page very, very early on the page. Because they know people are, most of the time, a lot of people, especially in senior living, they need to get information unless they've been referred to you by a friend, right? They're going to want to get some kind of information from you about what you offer, what's the home like, yada, yada, yada. So having a web form on that home page very early on the page it should be the basics. You really need that. And then social proof or credibility. We talked about this a little bit before, but on your web page, you should have a section that's got your reviews. Okay, so whether they come from Google Business Profile or some of the other websites where folks can review you, we need to show people that because they're going to want to see social proof. Has anybody else done this, right? And if you don't have reviews, that's a whole other ball of wax, right? That we need to talk about. So getting reviews, you're not generally, especially if you're just starting to try and get reviews, you have to ask and you have to remind people. Most of the time, if you ask a family, because most of the time families wind up really loving you and your staff. And so if you ask them, would you mind giving us a review? They'll almost always say yes. But they're just like us, they get busy. And so you have to have a process to actually reach out to get the review and try to help follow up with them so that they'll actually do it. But getting reviews, and we'll talk about this when we talk about local SEO, reviews is in Google's algorithm for who they're going to show in that local map pack. So they're important. I wouldn't say it's the number one thing, because I've seen some ranking in the map pack that only have just a handful of reviews. So there's other things, but reviews is definitely one of the things in that formula. So you want to get them, and then you want to show them on the website. And so there's definitely some easy ways to do that. And then site speed, we talked about this. This is one of the basics. Your site has to load fast. If it doesn't, you're kind of behind the eight ball. A good place to go, I'll put this in the chat, to test your website is GT Metrics. I think that'll get you there. That's in the chat. GT Metrics. You can go there and test your website speed for free. But yeah, that'll tell you, and it'll also tell you kind of, hey, here's where some of the issues are, if you've got issues. So you want to make sure it's loading fast. Okay, so let's look at some of the examples. This is a client here in Arlington. And what you see here is a few things that I've circled here. And obviously the phone number is there. And if you touch that, it'll initiate a phone call. And then in the top right-hand corner, they have book a tour. Now, if you touch that or click that, it's going to open up a place where you can actually find a time on their calendar to come tour the home. And then the other thing I've got circled there is get the ultimate guide. And I'll talk about this in a little bit, but that's sort of a transitional call to action. Their main call to action is book a tour. Sometimes people aren't ready for that. So we have a transitional call to action called get the ultimate guide. And I'll speak into that a little bit more here in a second. This is a client in Abilene, and this is just below the hero section on their website. And so this is the form that I was telling you about, where if you don't have a form, very early on the website, put that on your action list. We need to get that there, because giving your visitors the opportunity to give you that information early is smart, because again, people, if they're not going to stick around, then you're going to kind of lose them. And so if we put that there, then we can get that information pretty quick. We talked about mobile optimization. Again, about 60% or higher of the folks that are coming to your website, they're coming on their phone. And so look at put this on your list. As when we're done here, go to your website on your phone and you decide if it's easy to use or not. But what you really want is the phone number there. And is it, if I touch it, will it initiate a call? So that's the main thing. This one is, if your website is mobile optimized, you'll know, right? You'll go to it and you'll say, oh, it looks good, right? I see how to move around. I can do a phone call or that kind of thing. So, just to make sure that it is. If it's not, again, you want to fix that as soon as possible. And if you've got a website, again, that's 10 years old, you're in the camp of like, hey, let's build a new one. Okay. All right. So what I was talking about earlier with that transitional call to action was this lead generating PDF. Now, the idea behind this is some people aren't ready to book a tour. Some people don't want to call you. They don't want to initiate a chat. They're just kind of looking around, right? And so what if you had, a valuable asset that you could exchange for their email? And that's what we call a lead generating PDF. Then what you're seeing there is the cover of a guide that we've written that we give our clients. Essentially what it is, it's 3,500 words, and it's a checklist, a guide to finding an assisted living facility. And so we go deep on everything a family would want, in a checklist to help them find the right place. Now, you may be thinking, why would I give them a checklist that may lead them somewhere else? Well, at this point, we're just giving them value. We're just treating them like we would treat them if they were our family, right? We've created this really, really good checklist that we can brand for you, whatever your brand colors are, your logo, we'll put it in there. And then you can offer it to people that are coming to the website for their email address. They get the checklist and they're able to, use that to find the right place. Now, what you do with it, and we'll talk more about this in the webinar on email marketing, but once you have their email, you want to send them an email a week for 6, 8, 12 weeks, or until they book a tour, right? So it's the sort of a nurturing way to give them value and then communicate with them until they're ready to book a tour or call you or those kind of things. So that's the idea behind the lead generating PDF. Now, if you don't have this, it is something you should do, because again, not everybody's ready to call, but if they show up and you can offer them something of value, then they may give you that email address and you can keep up with them, basically. That's the idea. Now, what about a chat widget? Okay, so I would say this time, this is, some of these things are new, but if you don't have this, you really should think about it, okay? Because again, people want options and they want the ability to communicate with you on their own terms. And so a lot of people love this, right? And so there's some decent offerings out there that you can get. We have one. Ours is pretty darn good. Ours is different in that if you stick our widget on your website for chat, it takes the conversation to text. So as soon as they fill out the chat widget, basically what they get when you respond is a text. And so the conversation moves from the website to where they're used to communicating, to their phone. And so your conversation can play out on the phone, which is really cool. So it gives you a way to offer chat, but then also it really makes it more personal, because you're taking the conversation away from a website to where they love to communicate anyway, which is text. And so again, there's a few in senior living that are good. Further's a good one. What is it? Site Staff Chat is a good one. But we also have one, and ours is different in that it takes the conversation to text. So these are things, again, if you don't have it, you really should get it. Your competition has it. I guarantee you the big guys have it. So put that on your list, aspiration list of like, hey, here's something that we should think about for the second half. All right. So we're at 12:42. Are there any questions, because I'm about to get into like, how do we do this? How do you actually get this stuff done? So if you have a question, put it in the chat and I'll address it. But what I'm about to get into is kind of like, okay, now that I have a list of a few things I want to do, how do we actually get it done? Because like I was saying before, what I know about you guys is that you're super busy and that you're doing a lot of things. You're not just worrying about sales and marketing. There's a bunch of other things that you're trying to get done. So how do we do this? So you have to think about, who is it that's going to do it? Are you going to do it, or are you going to hire someone to do it? And then once you're ready to make that decision, you have to think this through, because one of the biggest struggles that we have onboarding new clients is finding out where all the information is. So here's the thing. If you don't know how to log into the admin section of your website, you got to figure that out. Okay. And so you need the second, number 2 there, find all the login information. Okay. You need it for your website, admin access, your domain registration, and your hosting provider. A lot of people confuse the domain registration and hosting as the same. They're not the same. Sometimes they can be the same if you bought your domain from GoDaddy and you have hosting with GoDaddy. In that instance, they're the same, but many times they're not the same. So you need to be able to log into website, domain registration, hosting provider. You need to know all those things. Okay. And then make a list of the basics. So make your list of what you want to do. I want to get my phone number on there. I want to add a form to the homepage. I'm going to hire a photographer. That's not part of this, but if that was in your list, right? Let's get new messaging for the homepage. I want to make sure my about page is up to date with my photo and my bio. I want to make sure my site looks good on mobile. Get your stuff, what is it that you actually want to do? Okay. And then here are some options for actually getting the work done. Okay. So one option is to go to Fiverr or Upwork. The pros of that is that you can often get like one-off work done for a good price. The cons, it can be difficult sometimes getting what you really want. And sometimes there's lots of struggles in communication. And so just know that going in, if you're going to use Fiverr or Upwork to get your work done, it can be a big job just getting the work done. So there's that option. The other is to do it yourself, right? And the pros of that is you don't have to pay anyone. So, but the cons is you don't oftentimes have the time to do this, and you may not know how to do it. And so there can be a big learning curve to this stuff. And then you might break something, right? Then you'll have to pay somebody anyway to fix it. And then another option is you can hire me and my team to do this work for you. So those are the options. And then there's also, what if, right, there was an easy button that you could just hit and get all of your website marketing worries taken care of in one blow, right? And so there's another option. We call this the ALF marketing playbook. And this is where we do kind of everything we just talked about. And there's a lot more here that we'll talk about in the future webinars. But basically, with what I've got here is you get a brand new website that includes everything that we talked about today, right? You get the chat widget, you get the calendar tool that integrates with your calendar so that we know when we can and cannot book tours, right? That's there. You get the 3,500 word lead generator branded for your company. You get the email marketing tool to nurture those leads after they reach out. You can also use that to reach out and nurture partners. This tool also integrates with Google My Business a Google Business Profile, Facebook, Instagram. Any messages that come in from those social channels are also come into this tool where you can, reach out with those folks. There's a social media planner and poster. So helps you schedule and post all your social media in one place. So imagine like sitting down for 1 hour on a Monday and doing all your social media for the week. This tool will do that. And then it also comes with video tutorials on how to use it, 24/7 support. So this is an option, right? I just want you guys to know that if you want to get everything checked off the list, this is an option. And so if you would love to, if you want to spend time talking to me about this, so this is how you would do that, okay? Go to avadamarketing.com. That's where kind of my home base is. Then you would click on strategy session, and then you would book a time with me. And I'll walk you through how this tool works, what it costs, what it looks like to set it up, what it's like to work with us, all that kind of stuff. Yep. Okay. So thanks, Lucinda. We'll see you in a bit. Listen, if we've got a few minutes left, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. We'll talk through them. If not, we can wrap this baby up, and I will let you know about next week's webinar. Okay. So any other questions or comments, you can put them in chat and we'll talk through them. If not, I will stop the recording and we'll get back to our day. Also, you know how to reach out to me, guys. You can call, text, email if you do have questions or comments. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. And thanks so much for coming today. Hopefully this is helpful, and I'll talk to you guys soon.